Welcome to our third podcast. Can't believe it's the third one already.
I know,
it's,
week to week, isn't it?
So fast, isn't it?
Sorry.
And today we're going to be touching base and getting to know you a little bit more, Rose, and a little bit about where you sort of your background, a little bit about your upbringing. This week's been quite productive actually. We're actually hiring, we just hired another person to join our team. So from a business side,
they're both going to start.
That's quite nice.
In February, which is good.
Looking for some good growth this year. But yeah, really productive week. We're also speaking to Tanya about getting another sponsorship with Hanover Primary School. That was quite cool with Christmas.
Yeah, so at Christmas we had a local designer design some canvas bags, some tote bags, and we had those printed so that then the kids could use fabric paints and take them away with them, so that was quite cool.
That was really nice, yeah. But yeah, I'm just trying to be as plugged in with the community as we can be, especially with this style of agency that we're leaning towards. It's amazing to be able to support local businesses, the schools in our area as well.
Yeah, schools are actually something that we're looking at now, aren't we? Well, we will be, because Zara's 2.5.
Yeah.
So that's something on the agenda. I sort of parked it until March. But,
last week I thought it was a good idea to go and play golf in -3.
Oh,
so that was fun. Not quite, but
how did that go down?
It was crazy. We played at Chigwell, but going onto the greens it was literally an ice rink. So as soon as you hit your ball, so we played about.
So does the ball skid like it would a stone on water kind of thing?
On the fairways, but then on the greens it was just impossible. It's literally playing on an ice rink. A little bit dangerous actually.
Do you hurt your hand if it's... No, because it's not rock solid, is it? It's just grass.
Not really. So me and Lewis, we played I think about 13, 14 holes and then actually got quite far and then packed it in. But
how many holes are there usually?
18.
Okay.
So yeah, I did just over half.
My golf knowledge coming out there.
I think there was about literally 5 people on the golf course. And when we arrived, the guy was like, "Sure you want to do this?"
Because I know in summer you love it. I'm literally a golf widow. Come every Saturday, Sunday. I got that from George. She says the same about her husband. And yeah, I just didn't ever see you playing it in winter. So I'm quite surprised that you've actually got a few.
All year round, yeah.
Got a few in. But
yeah, it's nice to have people that sort of do it all year round, and yeah, it's just sort of nice to keep up with it.
One more bite.
Yeah. Get some in.
I don't know if you're supposed to eat during a podcast, probably not, but it's coffee and pastry time for us. So yeah, where shall I start?
Tell us about your background, your upbringing.
So I was born and bred in London Bridge. My dad always remember it was Guy's Hospital on the 13th floor. He remembers it because 13 is his lucky number, so just random fact. And yeah, I lived with my mum and dad in London Bridge until I was about 4 or 5, and then my mum and dad separated and I lived with my mum in Eltham. We moved southeast, and I remember my mum and dad looking. I think this was around 6 or 7 actually, because that's when I sort of had the memory, so it might have been a bit later, but I just remember mum looking for places and none of them being quite right, and then we went for this one place, and I just have these memories of we took over the property from a really elderly guy, and it was just bizarre.
Was this Elton?
Yeah, it was so. And I remember behind the sofas he painted around the furniture, so when we got the house there was orange, there was green. I remember the colour of it. It's weird, isn't it, how you remember such things? And then I think he'd hammered the carpet in with nails. So we had to lift the carpet up, and then there was just, I guess because the floorboard was just all a bit rickety. I remember my dad taught me how to take so my dad helped a little bit when we were just sort of transitioning in, and I don't have great memories initially. I think my mum told me that I gave her quite a hard time because I came from a property that had carpets and this one didn't, and I just apparently I gave my mum a bit of a hard time, but she didn't let me forget. But yeah, she did well. And yeah, I remember I went to school in Eltham for a bit, and then I went to a school in Kent, and then I remember around GCSEs.
And it was 5 when you was 5 that your mum and dad broke up?
5 or 7, 5 to 7.
Yeah.
I feel like I get a bit of brain fog, and everything sort of happened when I was 7 years old in my head, but it might have been a bit sooner or round about then.
It's weird because obviously my father passed away when I was 7 as well, so interesting, this sort of divide of time. But
it's funny what you kind of remember and don't remember at the same time, but I remember feelings or smells. Do you ever get that when go to somewhere and you're like, oh, that smell reminds me of being in primary school in year one? It's so bizarre, isn't it? That teacher's perfume or something. So I went to a school in Kent, and then I remember working. I think the hardest time I ever worked was at secondary school. I just had this. I mean, I'd always be doing my dancing, so I was quite into ballet and modern and tap and all that stuff. My mum got me into ballet when I was about 2, 3. Speaking of which, we've got Zara into ballet, 2.5.
Oh, that was crazy. Well,
yeah. Apparently she doesn't sit still enough, so...
Yeah, Zara got kicked out of her ballet class after her second class.
Well...
Because she couldn't... The teacher came up to me and said, your daughter's not sitting down enough. And the teacher doesn't get it, so we were, what? She hasn't...
I mean, 2.5, so... Anyway, we've since got her into... She does football at St Mary's on Upper Street, there's a sports hall. So she does that. And then she occasionally goes to the window and goes, ballet. She remembers going.
She's in football, ballet,
ballet. So we're just trying to phase that out, I guess. Maybe we'll revisit it later. So she does football on a Saturday. And then, I haven't heard of this, but I went to a party at Hollow Rocks on Essex Road. And she goes to gym there now on a Sunday, which is great. They do.
She loves it.
It's amazing.
She's so active. She's literally bouncing off the
ball. She's a ball of energy, Zara, so she needs that outlet once or twice a week of a weekend. But going back to, where was I?
School.
Around about 11, 12, I had the decision that I really wanted to sort of go professional with my dancing. But my mum and the school sort of had it in my head to sort of, you must do well at your GCSEs because you've got to have those to fall back on. So I had this sort of drilled into me. And there was just this immense pressure. It was great. Everyone was sort of working at the school I was at, that everyone was pushing, but it's just, I look back now and it was the hardest time I've ever worked. I remember having school homework until 6 and then dancing from 7 till 10. And I'd come back home and then 10:30 till 1 I'd be up just finishing homework.
Why do you think that was? Is it just because of your structure in the day, or because you actually just had this desire to... I
think I had a perfectionist nature, where I just must do the best I can, then I know I can make peace with myself that I've done what I could and whatever.
Obviously I know through your life maybe the sort of impact that might have had on you when you was that age, but what would you say, how did it make you feel? Like...
I remember my mum saying, this was reverse a few years, so before GCSE in secondary school, I remember I think I developed this workaholic sort of, not workaholic, but perfectionist, I need to do the best I can, possibly crazy. I set the bar so high for myself that I think it was in year 4 or 5. Year 5, that was it. How old are you in year 5? 8 or 9?
Probably about...
And we always had this big summer homework project, and I can't remember exactly what it was. And I remember my mum just saying, you know what, Rose, just go and run around in treat. Do you know what I mean? Have fun, do you, rather than don't just get stuck indoors and just do this. There's more to life kind of thing. So I sort of took that on and I was like, okay, I'm not going to put as much effort into that and enjoy a summer. So I did, and then I remember getting the results of this homework project, whatever it was. She sort of gave me a really hard time, the teacher. She was, Rose, this is you're better than this. This isn't what I expected of you. Look, this is a sort of work, and I think that's
How did that make you feel? Do you think?
And I felt horrible. I was, oh my god, I've listened to my mum and she's told me to not work as hard here.
Yeah, but and now then, the teacher's telling you that.
And then it just reignited the perfectionist thing in me again.
And because you didn't want people to tell you that.
I didn't want to be told that. Right, I wanted to. I wouldn't mind being told that if I'd known I'd tried my hardest, but I knew I didn't. Yeah. And it's almost like the teacher knew as well. But I don't know if you should be so hard on 8 or 9-year-olds. I don't know, exams
I've had quite a different experience with teachers as well. I mean, some you're really warm to and some are like...
regimented. It is a teaching style, you warm to...
Everyone's the way they are because of all the experiences that they've gone through life, and that moulds into sort of the way they are, right?
Yeah, and anyway, I worked really, really hard in GCSE. I remember getting tonsillitis all the time, had to get my tonsils removed, and I'd just get ill all the time because I'd just be burning out. I experienced burnout.
Was your mum observing this, and did she say anything, or she just sort
of she sort of... I remember actually, on the contrast, on the flip side, I remember in RE, Mrs. Springer was, Rose, this homework is just too... You don't need to do... Again, I got my mum.
Right, okay.
So it's
you're getting mixed sort of...
Yeah, so I was just a bit... Yeah, I don't know. I worked so hard just to be able to fall back on GCSEs, got good grades, and then I went off to ballet school in Germany. And teachers were like,
when you was
16.
16, yeah.
Yeah, so I went to ballet school in Germany. I auditioned for places in the UK, didn't get in, and then I got into this really amazing school in Mannheim called...
I mean, that's pretty courageous, isn't it? Like at the age of 16 to...
I was very headstrong though.
To
like,
just literally leave home and go, right?
I remember looking back and...
Like 16 years at the time that
true,
would
yeah.
probably do that.
But I remember just having, again, maybe it's this perfectionist thing, I knew what I wanted, and if I was going to go and get it, I always wanted to do the hardest thing that I could do and just prove myself that I could do it. But going
How did you feel emotionally when you went to Mannheim?
Good initially, yeah. I was like, wow, I'm going to learn how to do the washing on my own, make a risotto.
Did you miss home?
Big time, because me and my mum were just very, very close. I lived with her, for as long as I can remember, and to make that break. But then I always say, if I'd have known I would have lost my mum just 3 years later, I don't think if I'd made that break away from home at 16, I would have coped half as well with her death. No way.
Right, yeah, because you had
I had that physical, literally
mean,
a different country to separate. That it made it. Yeah. I guess that's the way I sort of look at it. I don't think I would have, because I was so with my mum. She was my person. I'm sure so many people can relate that, if you've had that sort of really lovely relationship with your mother, there's nothing there.
No, I agree. Yeah, and then from there it was 3 years you was in... 3 years,
so it tested my love for it. So it was I think it was a 3 to a 5 year course if you went from diploma to degree, and then initially it was hardcore. I remember I didn't know what this was at the times, but I now know, having gone to the gym and things. DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. Oh my god, I remember walking down the stairs crying just because just because you just use it, jumping, and it was hard. It was very militant. I remember I wasn't able to ask questions unless they were in German, and I didn't do German for GCSE, so I did all the arty stuff: art, ceramics, drama.
But the majority of the
music.
kids, they're German, would you say?
There was actually a mix. So there was obviously some Germans, but there was Brazilians, there was French, there was Australians, a bunch of Australians. Yeah, it was very international. But it's great, great life experience.
I was going to say, at the age of 16, it's quite different, isn't it?
But it tested my love for it, to work so hard and just be in a corps de ballet. It wasn't enough for me. I wanted to try other things, and there was a time where I just sort of came to this realisation that it was almost a bit admitted defeat. I'd never be a prima ballerina because my turnout of my feet would never, the line, if anyone that knows dance, like if you've got that turnout, you've got that line of your foot. If you don't have that line of your foot, then your ankle shows, and you'll just never be.
They want you to be perfect, or what they.
If you want to be classical ballet, you have to have that. You have to have a certain instep, stretch on your foot. You have to have a certain turnout. You have to have a certain stretch, obviously, and there were just certain limitations within my body that I couldn't adjust to, no matter how much. It's just genetics, and. So then I knew that my opportunities would only be modern sort of contemporary stuff. And I just had I wanted to sing, I loved to act, and I just had these other outlets I was very creative. I did drawing and art and stuff. So I came back to London when I was about 18, 19, and decided that I'd take a year out and audition for drama colleges and musical theatre colleges and just see what came about.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't end up taking a year out in the end because I did a summer school at the Erdang, and then from that I remember Miss Pope came over and was because I used to go to Erdang when I was tiny, 7, 8 years old, to their summer camps and stuff, and I hadn't been for ages, and I thought, let's just try going into this as a summer school. And Miss Pope came over and was like, wow, you've improved so much, your ballet. For me, that was just so weird to hear, because I've been basically said you're not good enough and you never make it. But
and then being similar to like a school situation, isn't it?
No, I mean I was at a level that for musical theatre was quite high.
Okay, right.
So it was, you could sort of see the training there. And I remember Miss Pope sort of came over and was like, wow, we've got a scholarship available this year if you want to come. Literally starting next month, would you, I've spoken to the head Solange and we'd love to have you on. And I was like, wow, that's my year 3 years into a course. So I did that. And
on that, actually, how crazy is it that how many years after it was, but Solange actually called our office, right?
Yeah.
And became one of our vendors, and we ended up selling her property, didn't we?
Yeah, crazy.
So weird.
Small world, isn't it? I remember I went to a valuation for her, and because I don't think she initially knew Hemmingford's was run by you and me, and she called up and then. And that's actually funny, because also that's happened with another...
Also from the ballet school, right? I mean, from Erdang.
Erdang, yeah.
Paul
Hack.
And he was like, Rose.
Oh no, I wish I had the phone recording. I'll have to maybe dig it out, I don't know, but I just remember he always... Yeah, and he called up and he was, oh my god, Rose? I was like, yes, who's this? He's like, it's Paul!
Paul Hack!
Paul Hack! And I remember sending him some documents after the sale of his home, and because he's based in Australia now. Hi Paul, if you're watching. And he had this thing where he'd always say, okay, 5, 6, heaven's sake, bum, 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 bum. And we'd just go into... So I remember writing on the little letter, 5, 6, heaven's sake, after his name. This is a memory. So yeah, we love you, Paul. So yeah, I went to Erdang, had a great time. Yeah, I really loved it. It got my confidence up to really get into jazz singing and drama, and yeah, I loved it. And then after third year, I went to... We graduated. I was lucky enough to get an agent, and then so you have your daytimes free to be able to accommodate auditions last minute, and then I was working sort of in the evenings to just get some money, because otherwise, fresh out of college. So we were working in... Where did I work? It was a place called Lounge Lover in Shoreditch, and also Soho House in the part of Le Trois Garçons, but that's now left.
Okay.
That was on the corner, wasn't it, by Ebor Street? Yeah. That's now, what's that chicken shop on the corner? That was basically Le Trois Garçons.
That's closed, actually. I forgot what it's called now, yeah.
Oh, it's something else.
Things are changing so fast around there.
I know. But yeah, I used to work there just to accommodate the daytime shifts, and then I would get auditions and for things, and we're happy at handling rejection and stuff, but I remember my agent told me the day of hiring, he was 9 times out of 10 it's not going to work for you, Rose. You're that kooky character, that wicked witch, or you're not the princess, you're the interesting character, and not everyone's going to know where to place you. So I was like, okay, I take that, I'll handle that, I know, but it's hard to map out your path when your career is in the hands of someone's opinion of you.
I was playing golf. I actually met Nabil at golf, and he had a background in quite similar styles to what you had. I remember explaining this to you.
What, in dance?
He was in some of the plays in West End.
Okay, yeah.
So not so much maybe the dance side of it.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, I was explaining this, And then he goes, it was obviously for him it was quite a fickle industry where he said you could be amazing.
Yeah.
And then it's not exactly. Sometimes it's who you know and the people that put you in front of the places. Yeah. And then he went from there all the way to becoming a landscape gardener. Yeah,
I think it's you can be great at something, but it's also about bums in seats and who you know, and if there's someone who's got a certain following, that's gonna. So it's quite frustrating, because there are some really good, really amazing artists that just don't even get a look in, just because of the vast. This is so many people that want to get into this thing, but I've always had the belief that especially with singing, if you're a really good actor, you don't really need to sing that well, because it's about feeling, or it's that how it's using the voice and it's amazing. Live theatre, I think I'm really really keen for, rather over something films. And sometimes the crowd's a little bit down, so you have to really work harder to get them up. But it's just so amazing to be on that side, but also to watch theatre and just be in what am I trying to say? But feel something that is never going to be replicated ever again. Yes, they'll say the same things and do the same thing, but the way it feels will always be slightly different, and the way things land will just be. And I love that about theatre. I think that's amazing. So who knows? Maybe in time I'll get back into it. But going into sort of how I became an estate agent with you was, so I met you around that sort of time when I was working at Lounge Lover, and I worked in the reception. I started working front of house, so that I'd work in doing the daytime shifts, because I realised I wasn't getting as many auditions. Because of this perfectionist streak, I had certain things that I wanted to achieve in life. Sometimes there were some girls that had made it into the West End at that time. That was amazing for certain niche roles, and there were others, and then they've not had anything since, and then there's others that have sort of worked their way up, and now they're in Wicked and what have you. So it's so fickle. I think that's the word. It's just so fickle, the industry, that it's just I don't know what the solution is, but I think it's probably just an oversaturated market, and there's just so many people that, so even it's like sifting through CVs, right?
It's hard to measure, isn't it? For example, if you're playing football, the team that scores the most goals wins, right?
Yeah.
But when it's auditioning, the measurement of it is based on someone's opinion, right?
Yeah, and that can be different every time. You might be
right?
too tall for that particular role. You might have the wrong colour hair. It could be so many things, as fickle as that. And that, unless you know someone who can be, this person is right for this, they can do it. Like
it's very also quite niche to each different sort of part of the sort of musical theatre.
Yeah. And I think in some ways it was a blessing in disguise, because I've sort of gone down a different path in a way that I'm really happy with, and I feel sometimes the creative industry can be a bit, what's the word? It's very pressured. I think it puts a lot on people and their mental health, and I don't think that's sort of taken as a priority much, and you're just sort of told to deal with it. I think you've also said that
a few times when we've been interviewing people.
Yeah.
Some people that you may have studied with in the past would also be very good at this.
I think musical theatre people, very creatives, they do brilliantly in sales for that reason. So if you ever, if you're listening and thinking of a career change, it's a good thing. But then I started working in the day, and my idea was to go into, I can double my salary if I do exactly this, but in a corporate setting. So I was like, okay, let's just military operation. And then luckily one person took a chance with me, and then I worked in for a company, a bit We Buy Any Car, but We Buy Any House. So that was like Berkeley Square, Mayfair. Yeah, so I was in his apartment suite in his office, basically looking at properties. They sort of have not phone ads, newspaper ads, so they'll buy cash, so they'll give the vendor that, and then they'd either buy it and sell it on, buy it and flip it, buy it and rent it. A bit of block management as well. They had something in Germany, so it was a great first step. But I just found, because of my I'm good with people, and I love people, and I just found a small family office with one and a second person that would never sort of be in. I just felt very lonely, so I befriended the cleaner, the daily cleaner that was in. What was her name? But I think it began with a V. Oh, but she was great, and we'd have a good chat here and there. But so I then went into, I think I worked for Castellane Capital after that, in Marylebone. That was fund management.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
So I did that, and then I think that's then after that I worked at Royal Mail for Chief of Staff, and that was in Blackfriars.
Yeah.
So I worked my way up into sort of a corporate feel, and I think it's similar to, it could be the right job but just wrong environment for certain things, so it's just about sense checking that.
Well, I think you told me that you had to message someone to go to the toilet.
Yeah. So at Goldman Sachs, I was a temp for about 3 weeks, and I happily spat myself out. It just wasn't for me. Yeah, I had to. I was on this trading floor, or you'd be on different places throughout as a temp. You'd go to your head person, and they'd be like, right, you're here today, and then you'd sign, and you'd just be. It's almost like this expectation. You just know everything, and I had no idea. I was, what? You want me to book a taxi? How? Through a system. It's not. Oh, you just call for a cab or go on Uber. There's this whole weird system, and I hadn't had that training in that system. And then the speed at which they want everything done. Oh my god! And I remember speaking to the lady. I was, is this the pace of it? And she was, yeah. Like, yeah. And then people, I just felt, I just felt very. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I just felt I needed that. I needed to use my personality, not just be, I had great organisational skills, but that was just, a lot. It was, so then I went to Royal Mail, I think, after that, timeline. And then that was around the time where
I was thinking also about leaving where I was.
Yeah. And we were getting married, and we just said, you know what, let's just do our own thing. We're good with people. you've got that experience as an estate agent.
First hand,
front hand. And I've got the organisational sort of process queen management, you know. Actually, what I was going to say is when I first met you, I always had this feeling that we'd go into business together. I remember telling you this.
Yeah, because I remember when we lived at Dance Square, I've always also been very into food and we were just checking out all new sorts of stuff. I was like, why don't we open some sort of
we wanted to open a restaurant
open a
or a coffee shop. Yeah.
And then realise actually how difficult and how laborious it is being a chef. They don't get enough credit for what they do.
Salute them, they're incredible. But it
just made me really realise that, I mean, it's very, very commendable what a lot of these restaurants and stuff do, but I think using some of the skills that we already have and the field that we're in, I think we sort of we went into something that we knew.
Yeah.
Or at least I knew and you had some sort of flavour in it already.
Yeah, with property management.
And we sort of kicked off then, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, so never look back. So then, that's kind of where we are now, 6-7 years in.
I think now though, even when you run your own business, I think one piece of advice that I would give to someone maybe starting their own business is definitely investing in some sort of mentorship.
I mean, it's great to start a business and just learn on the job.
On a cold start, when you don't have much money, you need to start smashing the phones, getting your database,
it's all or nothing,
getting some kind of revenue in. But there, to take it to the next level is to really learn from other people that have already been there and try and shorten the time to get there. So for example, it might take you, it took us just say 5 years to get to where we are now, 5-6 years to get to where we are now. Or if you were learning it yourself, it might take you say 2-3 years to get to there. But it's just about having an expert.
I think what's really resonated now is how do we collapse time, and that is by investing in great people to do things as good if not better than you. Having great SOPs, having great so that you increase productivity, and by having those, even I've started using AI within my calendar. It's just amazing. You can add your tasks to your Outlook calendar and it will just
with motion, right?
Yeah,
it's really good.
Really good. So just things like that, just trying to think more innovatively and work more on the business than in it, I think is the stage we're at now. But you know, initially when you first start out, you just have to do it all, you know.
Drowning, like literally at some point. So I do hear the phone's ringing, this is happening, but I need to do that. It can be quite overwhelming, but you do learn a lot.
Yeah.
But there is sometimes quite a lot of stress involved into it.
And burnout and
trying to manage obviously clients' expectations, because you want to do the best for the client all the time, right? As well, to try and sort of keep that service level up. But yeah, I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, I hope so. I mean, we're getting pretty good feedback from people now.
It's just about adding to that and elevating. I'm really excited. I've got really good fire in my belly for 2025. I kind of know. Whereas sometimes when you first get into business, you can sort of just be a bit frazzled with so much that now I feel I've got the time and the headspace to be okay.
But yeah, for me, the best thing has probably been the mentorship, even just the initial few months of it.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
Someone that's already been in that position, that's excelled in the field very, very far, and has helped so many other people along the way with an amazing track record. Because sometimes anything in life, maybe even starting this podcast or going to the gym for the first time or starting a new hobby, there is always going to be that slight fear aspect, and it's really trying to beat that out of you. And it's the mindset.
I would say it's not about beating fear out of you. I'd say it's like accepting that and using it for something rather than letting it eat you up and stop you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can.
I see what you mean, but what I was maybe trying to get at is that you don't actually have to be scared because what are you scared of, right? What you really actually scared of. You don't have
to use fear as the reason not to do something.
Yeah, because some people might be scared or fearful to start a business because why? Because they're leaving their job with that income that's already secure, right? So to get that out of the way, because once you start to change the way your brain thinks, fear isn't actually a thing, right? What is fear? Fear is something that you expect is going to happen that actually hasn't happened. Fear
isn't actually something you can touch, is it?
So you can get it out, I think.
All in your head.
I personally think you can. Like, it's not a thing. It's a thing. A fear is something, it's the anticipation of what something's going to happen that hasn't actually occurred yet. It's an event in the future.
But also accepting that fear is also part of our human disposition. We're going to be a bit anxious about things, right?
Because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to change, or you might not want to go here or do this, or
but just feel the fear and do it anyway. I've heard that somewhere.
That's just what they were teaching us.
Yeah.
At the sort of mentorship program, and the things that you can do: bending metal wires, snapping. What was it? the crossover.
And that's one of the reasons why I want to do Tough Mudder this year. Is by pushing myself out my comfort zone. So every year I'm going to do a physical event that I wouldn't usually do, that I don't really want to do.
Get you out your comfort
just
zone,
to get myself out. The 15k course with 20 odd obstacles. I'm going to do it to just push myself out, raise some money for charity, and then you know, it's just to keep my mind elevated so that I can do these things that are a bit uncomfortable.
So that you don't have you're less sprung into the idea of being fearful of things because you're doing things to. Because
I'm just doing it, you know,
keeping it stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah.
So it's a mental sort of muscle training, isn't it? This is to build on.
It's amazing. There's so many things that we have and we all might sort of procrastinate on because you know that you need to do something, it's the right thing to do, but we choose not to do it or delay it because of this thing of fear or might not getting it right or not doing it. Or
I'm sure there's so many people who can relate to just getting an inbox full on Monday morning and being, oh my goodness, where do I start? And you're just completely dictated by your emails. And that's not how you should work or operate. You should have structure within your day, a time to look at emails. You can sift through things that are important, but you don't have to literally just be a slave to your
inbox.
Same
with social media. A lot of people get
sucked in that way.
The amount of time people might be like scrolling through things on social media all the time.
Well, that's a different thing. That's almost a bit of a dopamine hit, isn't it? They've done studies on it, the casino things. Why do people... It's that scrolling, isn't it? That instant sort of...
instant hit, yeah.
But, maybe that's another podcast story. But, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next week.
Cheers.
Bye.